Thank you, Chairman McHenry, Ranking Member Waters, and members of the committee. I am Chris Wright, the founder, chairman, and CEO of Liberty Energy. I am also the author of a new report on energy and climate change titled Bettering Human Lives 2024, and the founding chairman of the Bettering Human Lives Foundation, focused on expanding access to clean cooking fuels in Africa. Liberty employs over 5,000 people and fracks roughly 20% of the onshore wells drilled in the United States and Canada. We are proud to say that about 10% of total primary energy production in the United States comes from wells fracked by Liberty. Liberty has been a leader in next-generation technologies that reduce our impacts. Two examples are Liberty's quiet frack fleets and our leadership in replacing diesel-powered frack fleets with natural gas fleets. While investors are keenly interested in our innovations that lower emissions of both air pollutants and greenhouse gases, I am not aware of any specific investor requests for reporting along the lines of the SEC climate rule. The SEC serves as an important regulator for our financial markets. Liberty has dealt with the SEC for many years, both before our IPO and for the 6 years that we have been a public company. We have had only positive and constructive interactions with the SEC. But now the SEC is proposing to venture well outside of their lane without any congressional mandate to do so. We strongly oppose this destructive mission creep. Climate change is a complicated global issue that I have studied, written, and spoken about for nearly 20 years, but it is certainly not in the SEC's purview. That's why, about a month ago, Liberty instituted a challenge to the SEC's climate rule in federal court and asked for the rule to be stayed pending this challenge. The SEC vigorously opposed the stay, but it was granted anyways by the Fifth Circuit. Last week, the SEC decided to stay the climate rule itself. We appreciate this gesture, but remain committed to seeing this misguided rule drop permanently. How might climate change impact Liberty's operations? Global average temperature has risen by roughly 2 degrees Fahrenheit over the last 150 years. Extrapolating the current rate of satellite observed warming would imply roughly 2 more degrees Fahrenheit of warming by the end of this century. We operate at minus 30 degrees in North Dakota and at over 110 degrees in South Texas, a range of 140 degrees. A few degrees warmer simply will not impact our operations. What about extreme weather? We work in areas where tornadoes visit, hurricanes and floods too. The United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports no significant trend in these weather extremes. U.S. flood damage as a percent of global GDP has been on a downward trend since 1940, and global weather disaster losses as a percent of GDP have declined about 20% since 1990. Hence, there's no obvious growing threat to our business from extreme weather. Nevertheless, the SEC's climate rule mandates that public companies now must spend considerable resources to track and report impacts from the supposed changes of extreme weather events. Why? In our Bettering Human Lives report, we tallied the growth in global energy production by source since 2010. Natural gas is the fastest growing source of energy in absolute, not relative terms, supplying nearly 40% of growth in global energy consumption. Oil is the second fastest growing energy source. Hence, global demand for our industry's products is at a record high and rising. Liberty also has ownership stakes and partnerships with both a nuclear small modular reactor company and a leading next-generation geothermal energy company. We have positive outlooks for both companies and their technologies. Where do we see climate risks for our business? Regulations, like those proposed by the SEC. These regulations will be costly to comply with and will invite litigation from parties seeking to hamper our industry. The net result will be to make it costlier and riskier to produce oil and gas in the United States, which surely will reduce U.S. production at the margin. The SEC climate rule will do nothing to reduce demand for oil and gas while reducing U.S. production. Two results can be expected: higher costs for U.S. consumers and businesses, and increased oil imports. Outsourcing oil production to foreign countries like Iran, Russia, and Venezuela will certainly increase global greenhouse gas emissions and reduce energy security and economic well-being. Why impose a complex regulatory rule with no apparent climate benefit and easily foreseeable downsides? What am I missing? Thank you.